every game is basically a puzzle game. So like maybe it's a super fast twitch puzzle game like an FPS, or maybe it's like a card game, which is basically a puzzle game.
Hello, everyone. I'm John Aljets, and today I am speaking to Kevin Fornari, one of the people behind Smithy by Day, a shop management game where you make weapons and all sorts of things as a blacksmith. Kevin, how you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Dude, I'm super excited to talk about this game. When I do these interviews, one of the first things that I do is I send the game to like my group of friends. We have like a group chat, and I'm like, hey, I'm going to be talking to these guys. Like, check this game out. And as soon as I sent it, one of my friends came back with just, this looks like a game that I'm going to be obsessed with.
Awesome.
And absolutely, like, it just seems like the sort of game that you could sink 1,000 hours into and just totally just dive into it. So I'm really excited to talk to you about this. I'm really excited to actually get my hands on it someday, which we're gonna talk about that in a little bit.
Awesome,
but first of all, shop management and tycoon games are kind of like an evergreen genre. It's something that is always popular with players. Everyone always loves a good shop management game. What about Smithy by Day makes it unique within the genre?
Two things. Number one, I am trying to find something. I don't want to do the marketing thing of, for like the first thing in this genre or like the first ever game of this thing, but I still haven't found it yet. Turn-based shop management. There are shop managers like Potion Craft Alchemist Simulator that doesn't have real time, like a customer comes in and you can take as long as you want, but it is not turn-based. Smithy by Day does have a clock going, but it is turn-based. So like a customer comes in and until you like hit next turn or skip forward 30 minutes, you can move around freely, do whatever you want, start your forge or whatever, start your hammering on your anvil. And then after all three of your characters are done, you can skip forward turns. So that is the first thing. Second thing also kind of that I touched on is you have 3 controllable characters instead of 1. Some shop managers, you have like infinite amount of characters that just like automate tasks. Some you're just like third person or whatever. This one you have 3 controllable characters as well. So that's fun. Not many games do that. Second thing, tarot cards. We love tarot cards. Initially, the pitch for the game was to make a blacksmithing game that had like a bunch of very fun mini games, very detailed mini games. We were trying to do like 6 to 8. And eventually that became like super blowing out the scope. And so we decided instead to have an overall mini game, and what we're doing is tarot cards. So basically you initially craft the weapon with resources you've gathered, and it'll have like a base durability and a base sell price, and using those tarot cards you might lower the sell price a little bit to get better durability, and durability is just the percentage chance that it'll break before you craft it. So like 75 durability means there's a 25% chance of it breaking, or you can increase the sell price and risk a little bit. Maybe I'm at like 90 durability and I can we call it integrity. Maybe I can reduce the integrity just a little bit to get a big bonus in sell price. So those are kind of the 2.5 big selling points of the game.
So the tarot card system is something that really has stood out to me, because it does seem like that is one of like the most unique sort of elements of the gameplay loop. Introducing an RNG element to something like shop management kind of seems like something that might be sort of a pain point for some players, but I'm a little bit curious, because I know that on the store page you talk about collecting cards and sort of building the deck yourself. Is that something that players will have some control over, what sort of cards they might be seeing come up?
Sure, like some controls. So we want it. I'm going to go for like a feel statement more than like what we've actually planned out. We want to have a feel that you have like a consistent like 20-ish card deck, and you're picking from like 3 to 5 of them every stage of smithing. So throughout the day you'll see, if not all, most of your tarot card deck, but with some variation. And a big thing we've discussed also is having certain tiers of cards, so you can have like unlimited common cards, like 10 rare cards, and like maybe 5 legendary cards that are only like 1 copy each, and like 1, I don't know, like mythic card or something like that. So the reason behind that is like you'll consistently see, oh, like roughly I know like I have a bunch of cards that increase integrity, a bunch that increase sell price. But let's say you're making just like a normal steel sword, you're not like expending any super high quality ingredients, and then oh, my mythic card comes out and it's not transferable. You can't be like, oh, I'm working on like this mace, and now like all of a sudden I get a mythic, I can transfer it to a different thing. Oh, now I might want to do something a little bit different. I might want to, I've already used the metals for it, but maybe for like the handle, I'll use like some rare wood, or like I'll put a really nice enchantment on it because this insane card has come up. So you won't be seeing a super high variety. It'll just be like, oh, something really cool happened, or oh, every now and then your weapon will break after it's made. If you want it, like, we'll still give you the option if you want to be a super degenerate gambler and like just make 50 integrity weapons all the time, like, hey, go for it. But initially our intuition is to lean a little bit more toward consistency and less toward like roguelikes. We're not super appealing to people who are like intense, like I want to do like three new cards every time. We're not like Slay the Spire fans, but we still want a little bit of variety, a little bit of challenge in that. Yeah.
So another thing that I know that this game has, obviously the title is Smithy by day, but that does raise the question of what happens at night.
Excellent. Yeah, resource gathering at night. The first part of the pitch was kind of do like Dave the Diver's restaurant management, or like Papa's Pizzeria, or like Diner Dash, but turn-based again. So like slower, turn-based. Initially what I said was like, how Dave the Diver, you make like 50 dishes a night. I would like to make like 5 swords during the day. You're not like constantly churning them out like once an hour or something. So that's what you do during the day, and then at night it was kind of like maybe a like Stardew Valley caving experience. We've talked a lot about what we want to do for the resource gathering. Maybe we want to lean more toward navigating the caves instead of combat. We've discussed like maybe instead of like using your health, maybe you're using your mana. So like the cave has like some sort of like true darkness. So like torches don't work, so you have to use like, how in Pokemon you have like the move Flash that you need to use in caves, like something like that, to where every new room you enter you have to like use Flash or something to light it. And then of course some sort of change to where like in Dave the Diver there's like 5 different preset maps that change every time you exit the deep blue and come back in, something like that, to where it's not exactly the same, but it's not like crazy different. Or we've also talked about maybe what we've designed heavily over the board, like literally like pen and paper. What we talked about is like having like floor 1, you can go like horizontally left, right, and then like each new room you enter left, right has like a % chance to give you some common ingredients. You go down, higher percentage, you go down, now you can get like rare elements as a small percentage, but like you need to either use more mana or like harder enemies, that type of thing. So yeah, I guess that's kind of where we're at in the design phase. It's a lot of maybe we'll do this, maybe we'll do that. It's still really up in the air. We're still getting feedback from that and still trying not to blow the scope out of the water. We're still heavily focusing on the shop management side first, and the resource gathering is more in the whiteboard stage of things.
Have you ever played a tabletop role-playing game called Shadow Dark?
Nope, never heard of it.
I actually have my copy right there.
Oh, excellent.
It has a very robust torch system that I
Okay.
would actually recommend like looking into. It's actually like a lot of the gameplay mechanics of the dungeon delving
I'm gonna write it down. Yeah, sure.
are built around that. So I'd recommend checking that out because that could be
Shadow Dark
a cool
Torch.
source of inspiration for you.
Shadow Dark Torch mechanic is what I wrote down. Awesome.
Yeah, it's a cool place to look for that because when you were talking about it, that's immediately what my brain went to.
Awesome. Sure.
So getting back into the actual like shop management side of this, one thing that I think is really cool that I'm curious to kind of learn a little bit more about is your playable cast of characters. You have 3 distinct characters. You have a warrior, you have a rogue, and a mage. How does their differences actually affect the gameplay?
Yeah, so the very brief, like, spoiler-free version of the story is you have a rogue, a mage, and a warrior that after their quest, they are by some means gifted a smithy as a quest reward. And so they're kind of like, you're an adventurer, you kind of know, oh yeah, like I hammer the metal, I kind of know like how swords work, I kind of know like tangentially how these things work. So you're not completely like new to smithing, but maybe you've never done it before. Maybe like you've repaired your stuff, you've used a sharpening wheel before. So you're kind of learning and getting better as you go along, upgrading your stuff and whatnot. How we've designed it as well, how specifically these 3 characters will interact with each other through the shop management, is they have their main areas. So the rogue will kind of be front of house and he'll be doing stuff like rogue, you kind of think dexterity. So he'll be doing like small stuff with his hands. So maybe doing like jewelry is one thing we pitch. Something we have as like a placeholder in the game that we're not sure if how deep we'll go into is like a woodworking station. So maybe you can like, he can whittle down arrows in his free time. So like woodworking, handles, that type of thing. But specifically, he'll be doing like front of house stuff. So he'll be the main person interacting with customers, and then also doing like some dexterous stuff during the day, and kind of enjoying like a rough standoffish guy, like learning how to not be a complete ass to customers will be fun. The warrior is going to be the blacksmith. He's going to be the main guy that you're interacting with. He's going to be doing most of the work. And he's in the like blacksmithing part. So like hammering stuff on the anvil, putting stuff into the furnace, that type of thing. Like the heavy metal work, that's what he's going to be doing. And we've discussed also that there's going to be like maybe a little bit of crossover between stations. Like we have a singular assembly table. So maybe like you assemble swords there, and also the rogue assembles like arrows there or something. Like there's a little bit of crossover, as well as like our first upgrade that we have designed is like blacksmithing gloves. So initially like the blacksmith just has the gloves on him, but also like having a separate pair like next to the furnace. So like if the blacksmith is busy doing something like hitting iron on the anvil, and like you can't stop, otherwise like the sword will get deformed, like maybe your rogue can come in, like pause something, like this is a pausable activity, go drop some more ore in the furnace, and then go back and do that type of thing. So there's going to be some level of crossover between stations. Finally, the mage. What's unique about her, and cool, yeah, I think, is your characters will wake up, the 2 main characters will wake up early in the morning and start throughout your day. Maybe the rogue wakes up like an hour earlier or something, but typically like 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. you can do like your shop prep, and then 10 a.m. to, I forget it, like 8 or 9 p.m. you'll have customers. So the mage will wake up later in the day, and the reason for that is she'll wake up later in the day and then also do the resource gathering. She will be the person doing the resource gathering, so she'll be like 2 p.m. to 6 a.m. And so like from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. she'll go out, do resource gathering. Again, we're not sure how the timer will work in the resource gathering, if that will be real time and the rest will be turn based, or maybe it'll just be like a simple mana system or something like that. So that's kind of the roles of those people. We want to lean a bit into the story as well, and kind of how these characters grow and um, have some I don't want to spoil what we're thinking about, but have some sort of like end game, late game accomplishment, maybe for the group as a whole, or maybe like for each individual one. And that's about all I'll say on that.
Now, I want to shift gears a little bit to actually talk
Sure.
about a little bit about the development process and sort of your guys' behind the scenes story.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really curious, like what brought you guys together? Like what got you guys working on this project initially?
I guess stepping back a little bit, my job before this, I was working for a small indie company as a community manager and marketing lead. And so basically through that, I saw a lot of things I think I could do better. And so I was really inspired to want to make a game myself. Joe DePon, the lead developer, I've worked with him before. He's a high school friend as well. So a lot of trust between us. And we've done business before. We have a publication company as well. Very cool. And so I initially, like, we worked on a game years ago, just like whiteboarding it out, of just kind of like a story intensive game. That was years ago. Nothing to do with anything. That's super backburnered. Maybe like 10 years down the line, you'll see it. But initially I said like, I have like a dream automation game in mind, but I wanted to work on it myself initially. And eventually, after, for unrelated reasons, quitting that job, that community management and marketing job, I said, hey, listen, like, I know some like internal numbers, like it should be pretty easy to do like something here. And so he just happened to have, I believe, quit his job. And so he said, you know what, like, screw it, we're let's make a game. And so we came together. Our initial pitch was a 3D Vampire Survivors plus Slay the Spire. So you go to a level, you get surrounded by like 3 enemies or something like that, similar to I think it's either Hand of Destiny or Deck of Destiny, to where like you go into a battle and then like you go to like the next area and stuff. But the big thing, like, selecting like 1 of 3 upgrades after each battle. And so initially we tried to do that. That was like 2 weeks of development, and we said, nah, screw this. Like the scope got super blown out. We didn't want to do that. And that's eventually when we landed on the Smithy by Day pitch. Initially it was a 2D pitch, and then we made it 3D. It's been on paper for a little over a year now, and we've been developing it for about like 10 months or so. Lastly, we have our 2 other people. We have our artist, who she went to university with Joe DePon as well. They both coincidentally have the same degree, but her focus is on art and his was on programming. So perfect, great. So we have an artist. She works part-time for us. We finally, sorry, her name is Nautical Sorbet. Very cool. She makes stickers and ships stickers all over America. Go check her out. Very cool. And finally, we have an anonymous project manager, and she does project management, helps us kind of like outline what we want to do, goals, leads meetings or schedules meetings, that type of thing. She was very helpful initially in cataloging like a game design document, cataloging all of our art, that type of thing. And now recently I had a disagreement between myself and Joe DePon. And instead of her being like a tiebreaker vote, as some people might think, she kind of facilitates thinking about things differently, maybe meeting in a different style. We had this disagreement, and she said something along the lines of, you know what, like, this meeting, we're going to make it really fun. And so like 3 days later, she had like some different like sticky notes, like maybe like a different Jira board or something like that. So just getting us to understand like, oh, I really value this thing in our company, where Joe DePon values this thing. How can we either compromise, like meet in the middle, or like go in one direction or something? So visualizing that has been really helpful. But yeah, those are the 4 people. Of course, there's me as well. But yeah,
I do think that something that a lot of indie teams I don't want to say undervalue, but they might not necessarily think about is how important having like a production manager or a proper producer can actually be for making things run smoothly. It is sort of one of those unsung heroes of development that you don't ever really hear much about.
If I could chime in for a second, planning is super important. Like I said, we've been developing for 10 months, but it's been on paper for 2 months longer. Like, I believe I hinted at this earlier that we've designed over the board, like on paper. We spent weeks testing it as a board game before actually like even programming it at all. If I could pause for just 1 second to find, oh wait, no, I actually have it right here. Tabletop. Ah, there we go. A textbook called Tabletop Game Design for Video Game Designers. I would highly recommend this book.
I believe I have it just right over there.
Oh, awesome. Well, great. Then you know what I'm talking about. Like, listen, I hate reading anything that's like longer than a small article. So like getting me to read and especially recommend a textbook is like mind blowing for people who know me. So yeah, it's fantastic. If you want to design games, I would highly recommend it. And yeah, it's just a lot of planning like if you have the right type of game. Turn-based game's great, like maybe not for a shooter or a racing game, but yeah, like a turn-based game, fantastic to plan, to isolate variables, to not waste time programming, and to like test, like, do people actually like this concept? And the answer was, yeah, kind of like over the board. I think like Nautical Sorbet said, I think I'm having fun. And we said, all right, like, let's go down this path and see if we can improve it. So yeah, great, let's see it.
I think that more indie devs, I think, should be open to designing in like the pen and paper and board game area. Absolutely. Just because like it is great for prototyping, and also it's a great place to get experience that's very low friction, you know?
Yeah.
So one thing, actually, you know, you're talking about this game being turn-based. There's been a ton of online discourse lately on TikTok, on the Bird app, all those places. A lot of people talking about turn-based versus real-time, with some people arguing that turn-based is archaic, that it's old-fashioned, that it's old hat. What are your thoughts on that?
Interesting. I mean, I guess in a way it's old-fashioned. I mean, when I think of real time, I feel like it gives. Let's go back a little bit. I come from initially I wanted to be really competitive in League of Legends, and for many life reasons, I discovered that I was being super naive and that I do not have the mechanics to even be challenger.
Same.
But but I grew up for 25 plus years with card games, and so eventually, like, I played Hearthstone for a little bit before that, but I said, all right, let's super dive into Hearthstone, and then like getting into Legend, right? Okay, it's been so long. Yeah, getting into Legend and then like competing at DreamHacks and stuff. I'm like, okay, I can do something here with competing in card games. And so like I think I'm like well above average in card games. I can, if I sat down like no life to card game for a year or two, like I could be up there and like do some damage in like serious competitive events. But with that said, I think that like turn-based allows you to strategize and allows a lot more depth for you to think of. So like the immediate example I think of is the last spell. For those of you that don't know, it's basically like I don't know what the genre is called, but like you have a bunch of enemies on different squares and like you move and you go to the enemy and you shoot it. But for the last spell, it's like instead of having like your 4 main characters versus like 10 or 20 enemies or something, it's like your 4 main characters versus like 50, 100 individually moving units. Like they are all individually moving. They all have their own various level of complexity. And you can get a super high amount of depth to where if it's real time, like the human brain can only process so much. So I can still, what do I want to say? I can still, like, as long as I have the time, I can see each individual unit and like plan each individual thing. So even if I'm not as good as someone else that can do the same thing I do in like 30 seconds versus me takes 2 minutes, like you can go extremely in depth to where real time, like reaction speed is like an awesome thing. And like there's a rhythm game called Osu that I love. Like seeing people do incredible things in Osu and like incredible fast twitch or like practice stuff is amazing. So I think there's super room for both. And like, yeah, if you want to just say like, oh yeah, like the modern shooter is like the pinnacle of like everything esports, everything like video game athlete, whatever, like, yeah, I guess. But like, have you seen chess? Chess keeps getting like crazier and crazier. And like, yeah, now we're iterating on like card games and like card games that keep getting new stuff. Like Magic the Gathering just released a new set. Like you can do some crazy in-depth stuff, and to where the skill ceiling is still unlimited. Like basically if you patch a card game every 3 months, like the skill ceiling is still going to be like pretty unlimited. So yeah, I guess I don't see like, I just see like it's a preference for both people. I personally have a preference for like strategy games to where I can think, but yeah, like both are incredible. Both have some amazing and beautiful things that people can do with it. And yeah, I guess for like common games as well, like just single player games, you can do some crazy stuff in both games. And yeah, I don't see a reason why we would want to ostracize either genre of game. I guess for the very last thing, as kind of a meme answer to this, I initially, my take was every game is basically a puzzle game. So like maybe it's a super fast twitch puzzle game like an FPS, or maybe it's like a card game which is basically a puzzle game. And I used to go to these game dev networking events, and one of my friends that went there said everything's kind of a rhythm game. So I think now everything is basically, and so he said specifically like fighting games are basically like one of the purest rhythm games, to where you're both playing a different song and you're both kind of trying to screw with each other's tempo and screw with each other like what they're wanting to do. And so I view, as a really silly example, I view everything on a spectrum of like it's either a rhythm game or a puzzle game, and it's somewhere in between. And like Tetris is like the perfect game of where it's like it starts as a pure puzzle game and then transitions more into a rhythm game.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hope that answers your question well enough. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head with that. I will say, as someone who is formerly a competitive Quake player, so that'll tell you kind of where like my, where I sort of lie on this thing. As a former competitive Quake player, I love turn-based games.
Okay, excellent.
I'm still like 100% on board with those. Like XCOM 2 is one of my favorite games of all time. Like I love turn-based. It's something that is, there's just something so fun about being able to have the time to sit there and properly strategize and really get into your options.
Yeah, I'm a big have YouTube on the second monitor type person. So I like playing a game for like 10 hours, getting comfortable with the mechanics, and then like now I'm comfortable, I can like semi autopilot it. So like my comfort games are like Slay the Spire on the first monitor, YouTube on the second, or I just got a game called Nine Kings, so Nine Kings on the first monitor, YouTube on the second, for sure.
It's a great way to go. And sometimes you just want to chill out, and like slowing things down with a turn-based game works brilliantly. Something I got to know, and this you might not have an answer for this, but I do have to ask. So the game's been in development now for quite a while. When can we maybe expect a release date?
Okay. I will say two things to indirectly answer your question. Number one, we don't want SBD to be like a 5+ year project. So like we initially wanted to make it a 1 year project. And well, we're coming up on that for sure. So that's kind of thing number one. So between now and 4 years from now, it's somewhere in between, we have some internal goals that I'm not sharing publicly yet. And then thing number two is the biggest thing we're working toward right now is a demo. And I think the demo will super give us a roadmap and maybe like one or two other big milestones that will give us a roadmap to what exactly we want to do. Do we want to do an early access? Do we just want to shoot for a 1.0 or like a 0.9 release? Or what exactly do we want to do with that? So expect the demo relatively soon. I would say I would say at the very most within a year we should have a demo. So sometime by end of 2026 we should have a demo. It could be much earlier. I've tried to push for it being much earlier. We'll see. So that's all I really can say on release dates. That's about it. That's roughly what's public right now. So yeah, that's about all I can say.
That's fair. I gotta ask, because we
sure. No, I appreciate it. No,
I want to get my hands on it, so I gotta
absolutely
kind of like pushing a little bit. Like, hey, you want to send me that? One last question that I have. I try to make it a habit of asking people this because obviously we're very passionate about games. Like, we wouldn't be doing this if we didn't love games. And the reason why I do a lot of these interviews is to try to like draw attention to games that maybe, I think are really awesome and that should be getting some more eyeballs on them, more people paying attention. So I'm really curious, besides your game, of course, which everyone should go, wishlist on Steam and go check out. We'll have links for all that. Besides your own game, what are some other games, be them indie, retro, whatever, that you feel like not enough people are talking about that you think people should go check out?
I would like to self-promote myself just a second before answering this question, just a little bit more. So our Discord server, we have a section, an other games section, and basically like the gist of it is you like another game, post about it, whatever. I've attempted to, and I've been reasonably good at this recently, of reviewing a Steam game on Steam Reviews once a month and posting it in our Discord server as well. And so the reason I bring this up, A, join my Discord server. It's pretty cool. We share a bunch of different games. But
links to that in the description.
Excellent. B is one of the best things you can do of supporting a game on Steam is reviewing the game. And if you hate the game especially, review the game. Only about 1 in 50 people, or about 2% of people, review a game. And by the way, that's a very easy metric to figure out the sales. You just multiply reviews by 50, and it actually does give a very good like napkin math way of figuring out how many copies it's sold. But only 1 in 50 players review a game. So one of our campaigns is to kind of try to bump that up a little bit, both in general, but also specifically for when SBD gets a demo, when SBD comes out, to have a few, like, even if it's like 1 in 40, even if we go to like 2.5%, that would be awesome. That would be great if we could increase reviews. So yeah, I super am like behind your message of like, let's promote games, let's review them as well. It's super, super helpful, guys, to review games on Steam. With that out of the way, initially, like I said, SBD, the initial game we went to before SBD was kind of like a 3D Castlevania, not Castlevania. What was a Vampire Survivors, like 3D Vampire Survivors plus Slay the Spire. That was initially what we were trying to build. And there's actually a game in early development that just had within the last few months, had a demo release called Rogue Blight. And it's basically what I described, but 2D. It's 2D Vampire Survivors, but I think it's like more of like a boss, like you fight singular creatures, and yeah, you just keep going up and getting upgrades. There's like some meta progression and some like every level you get some progression or whatever. So that was this was a game I had in the back of my head, and then also I found Roguelite. I'm like, oh, awesome, someone's doing this but 2D. So definitely check that out. I'm very excited to see whenever they release an early access version of that. So that'll be thing number one. Thing number two as well is Speaking of turn-based, speaking about grid combat, there is a very, very small indie game. If y'all have played, I think it's called Advance Wars. Am I saying that the Game Boy game Advance Wars?
Yeah.
Yeah, there. Okay, cool. There is a basically in that same art style, in that very same genre. It looks very similar to it, called Avante, AVANTE exclamation mark Atlantis. And it is literally it's literally that. It is just like indie game Advance Wars. It's cool. There's some cool effects. You roll the combat is you roll a die and have a little bit of control on how the die rolls. You roll like a d20, and it's kind of like a weighted d20. So instead of being like a 1 through 20, it'll be like -5 damage, 0 damage, +5 damage, +10 damage, and like the 20 is like a +20 damage or something. And you can, what's cool is like the dice can collide in midair as well. I made the suggestion that maybe you can like knock off someone else's dice, but like no one listened to that suggestion, but whatever. But anyway, it's in one of the spheres of like, I know a person who knows the developer, so I would like to promote that game as well. Other than that, like two random games that are smaller games, but I'm not sure. I think they both technically have publishers. One is Nine Kings, like I said. It is a great turn-based, not exactly turn-based. You basically like build your base a little bit. You get like 1 of 3 cards every fight. It's if you like Slay the Spire, it's a faster version of Slay the Spire. What I would compare it to is Slay the Spire plus Loop Hero plus Loop Hero. Slay the Spire plus Loop Hero. You'll love it. It's great. And then the last thing, I was actually going to write a review over this game pretty soon along with Nine Kings, is Medieval Dynasty. It is a medieval survival crafter. If y'all have played Kingdom Come Deliverance, it's basically Kingdom Come Deliverance, but like a vertical slice of it. But you can make villagers, you can recruit villagers, and it's a little light on the story, but it still has story. It has cool story. It's marketed as a survival crafter, but the story is really good. Like if you like a really quaint like Kingdom Come Deliverance, like you kind of go, you do a few fetch quests, you find out like, oh, this guy was like a really cool farmer, but also had like a secret life. Like it's pretty cool. I would recommend that. So those are kind of the games.
Is that the game that also has like a Japanese version of effectively the same game?
Yeah, Sengoku Dynasty is the
I
other one.
That one.
Yeah, I looked into that one and it had lower reviews and it was published after. I thought it was vice versa. And then I had Medieval Dynasty on my wish list as well. And basically I was just waiting for them to introduce combat to it. And I saw there's like some bandits in there. Mostly you're fighting like wolves and I think they're Wiznets, I think, basically buffalo. So you're fighting animals mainly, but also like there's some bandits and stuff. So I decided to give it a try, and I'm just hooked on the game. And I don't like survival crafters, so this is a huge endorsement from me. Yeah, y'all will really like it for sure.
So definitely go check those games out. But more than that, you guys should go check out Smithy by Day. As I said, I will have links to the Steam page so you can go wishlist it. I'll also have links to their Discord and their social media and stuff down in the description. So go ahead and check that out. Kevin, thank you so much for talking to me.
Thanks so much, guys.
This has been magnificent. As I said, I am so very much looking forward to your guys' game. Like, it is maybe one of my most anticipated indie titles that I've seen in a while, and that's saying something because like I look at a lot of indie titles given that I'm doing all these videos and stuff, so like that's saying something. So definitely go ahead and check that out. Once again, thank you very much. Anything else that you want to say before we let the people go?
No, absolutely. Just thanks so much. I usually get the question like if you want to leave any advice, so I'll just give a very brief. If you guys want to do game design or game development, you don't like I said, Jotapon is doing this full time. But if y'all want to just like do like an hour a week or a few hours a week or something, you don't need to like quit your job to do game development. You can just like look into like Unreal videos for like an hour or two a week. You don't need to do something drastic as like quitting your job or doing anything. And this goes for any hobby that you want to turn into a business or something. So yeah, do like follow your hobbies, but just a little bit. You don't need to quit your job to do it. Just follow your hobbies a little bit more if you want to. Dip your toes in a little bit more, guys. But yeah, thanks so much. It's been such a fun interview. I super appreciate it.